First, let's look at John Paul II. Now, of course, you might be thinking, but John Paul II, he was immune. He was saved from all that suffering because he was the Pope. He lived in a palace where he grew up, and he was paid to be holy. He had a really easy life, right? No. In addition to all the suffering of humanity he experienced around him growing up as a young person, he also experienced the full frailty of the human condition. When he was 8 years old, his mom died. He called his mom the soul of our home. When he was 12, his big brother, who he looked up to so much, died. People described him in 6th and 7th grade as being withdrawn and quiet. If you were a depressed junior high kid, you might become Pope someday. When he was 20 years old, he came home from work and found his dad laying dead on the floor. When he was an old man, he said, before my 21st birthday, I had already lost everyone I ever loved. See, this man, if anyone had a right to walk through life with a spirit that was bitter and defeated, it was John Paul II. Oh, he had earned that right. But that's not what we know him for. See, John Paul II had a hope that nothing could conquer. Nothing could bring this man down. When he was bishop in Krakow, the communists built this town called Nowa Huta, New Town. It was to be the first town in Poland with no Catholic church. It was a communist utopia. And family was intentionally, all work schedules were geared so that families couldn't spend time together. It was all about the state. This communist utopia was absolutely miserable. Imagine there's no heaven. Every time we imagine there's no heaven, it's miserable. Just saying. So they built this town called Nowa Huta. The people in that town put a cross where they thought a church should go, and the communists bulldozed it. The people built it back up. The communists bulldozed it again. You know where he'd go as Bishop of Krakow to celebrate Christmas Eve Mass in the snow with his people? Right there where that cross was, with angry communists looking on with their machine guns in their hands. Imagine what it did for those people when that guy became the Pope. He came home 2 years later. 3 million Poles came out to greet him, chanting, "We want God! We want God!" 20 years later, communism fell in Eastern Europe without a shot being fired, thanks largely to the solidarity movement that John Paul II was a huge part of happening.